Action Cars have been supplying vehicles to the movie industry for over 25 years. The company searches car shows and motor trade mags for any specifically requested vehicles, but at its Buckinghamshire storage centre, it keeps a generic selection that are regularly used in both TV and feature films.
This is the last white police car that we have on our fleet at the moment, because nearly all of them now have gone over to silver.
Yeah, they have. Yeah.
But we keep this back just in case we're doing anything that's Thames Valley Constabulary at the moment still run white police cars. So if we get any productions that are supposedly based in that area, then we still need the odd white police car.
So, Guy, you provide vehicles of all sorts to movies and to TV productions, but you seem to provide a lot of police cars. Do you think, is that the main bread and butter of the business?
A lot of the time on a production, they might say, well, we just need a car for a little old lady, and someone on the production will be driving round in a car that would suit that character. Police cars, nobody's got them. You know, there are only a handful of companies like ourselves that actually own police cars that they can use. This is just a Ford Mondeo, one of the more modern police cars that we have. I think we bought it a couple of years ago for the film Love Actually, was the first outing that this particular car went on. Well, you're not actually allowed to drive a police car on the road unless you're a policeman. The law says that we actually have to cover up the blue lights. We're not allowed to have the word police on the car anywhere, so we cover the words up that say police. You're also not allowed to have the crests on the side either. So this police car could just be driven on the road now as it is, with the lights, the words police, and the fact that those things covered up, and the fact that you've got no crests on it.
Apart from the fact that they're blue, they look like Starsky and Hutch or Kojak's flashing beacons.
Well, these are universally still known as Kojak lamps.
Really?
Yeah. Any CID cars that we put out, we're quite often asked to put a Kojak lamp in there, and then, so if there's a plainclothes police car and they just want to pop it on the roof, it's got a magnetic base, they just plug into the cigarette lighter. You're not actually allowed to have a blue light like this in the car unless you've got a good reason for it, really. And really the only reason, unless you're a policeman, is the fact that you might be going somewhere filming. You're certainly not allowed to have it switched on and flashing on the roof of your car unless you're on a locked-off location and the police have been informed.
It's not just for UK police cars, you've got to think about continental police cars as well.
This is just a selection of the old graphics that we use. We have to go right back through the years, obviously, and even just generic ones like this that just say County Constabulary on, so you can't tell where the police car's actually from. We've got them from all over the country. Almost every constabulary at some point in here we've got a crest for it. The ID numbers that you'd find on the roofs of them and down the sides we keep.
You must have to do quite a lot of research as well in terms of knowing exactly how a car would look at a particular time.
We do. We've got a number of people. We've got a couple of guys that we use for reference on the police force, a couple of ex-policemen, and they've got a lot of contacts. And in as much as finding out how period police cars would be dressed and the equipment that they would have had at the time, they're very useful contacts. We can just ring them up, and if they don't know the answer to our question, usually they can find somebody that can.
But the job isn't over for Guy and his team once they've sourced the right vehicles. They also have to be on hand as the cameras roll.
We are responsible for the cars the whole time that they're on set. It will start off from just simply getting a car from the unit base to actually in position on the location, to showing the artists how to drive them, where all the switches are so they can turn the lights on, the wipers on and everything else. Moving the cars into position for them, and when they finish doing their bit of driving, moving them back again, right down to adjusting the seats for them, headrests and everything else. But also the general running of the car. We're responsible for them. When they want to shoot on them, they'll want that car to start on the button. And if as occasionally happens, there's an accident or something else, we'll be responsible for getting the car back to them so they can use it. Because if they've got 70 or 80 people on their crew standing around waiting to film on a car and the artist has just backed it into a skip, a lot of the time they will just say, by hook or by crook, I want to see this car back here in 20 minutes, half an hour, and we've got to use it, we've got to shoot on it. And that's probably where we earn our money, is when things go wrong, is when they're absolutely up against it. They've got a car that has just been smashed to pieces or something, and they need the next shot. We have to be prepared for absolutely anything that could happen to it. The stunt department will say, well, we're going to be doing this jump with this car, or we're going to be smashing this car into another car, and we'll then prep the cars in such a way that they can do that safely. Whenever we're doing anything like that, they never shoot it in chronological order, so we'll end up with them doing the car crash on day 1 and then want to see all the build up to the car crash on days 2, 3, 4 and 5. So inevitably there'll have to be double cars, sometimes 3, and I think 4 or 5 is the most we've ever supplied, 4 or 5.
And when you have 4 or more vehicles that are duplicates, you talk about a hero car. What exactly is that?
Well, we always call the hero car the main car that we're going to use. So we will pick out a car, we'll say, right, that's our hero car, that's the one we're going to use the most of. Usually it's the best one that you've got. So that'll be your hero car, that's it. And all the other ones will be tailored to match that one.
And how have you found working with some of those stars?
As a rule of thumb, I've come up with a good way of telling who's actually going to be okay and who isn't. And that is when you introduce yourself to them. If they say their full name, because they're assuming that you don't know who they are. So if they shake hands with you and say, you know, I am, you know, Joe Bloggs, then you know they're going to be okay, because they're not assuming that you know who they are. If they just come up, shake your hand and say, I'm Joe, then you know they could possibly be a bit of a handful.
What's the most memorable vehicle that you've supplied for a production?
The ones where we've actually been asked to build things and been given a free rein to come up with a vehicle. I think it was Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Somebody just turned around us one day and said, oh, we need a Vogon troop carrier.
What's a Vogon troop carrier?
I said, well, what's a Vogon troop carrier? And they said, well, I don't know, you know, what do you suggest? So sort of supplying things like that, you know, it's a great deal of fun for us, because it's we can just use our imagination and say, right, you know, that this is what it's going to look like, basically.
Everything associated with the vehicles is needed to authenticate them in the movies, especially for period pieces. So it's no surprise that a large part of Action Car's storage facility is occupied by boxes and boxes of paraphernalia. We mentioned you supplying cars from different countries and also from different time periods, and I think that's reflected here with all these number plates and all these tax discs as well.
Yeah, I mean, this is a small selection of what we've actually got. But we keep everything, old period number plates. I mean, these are just photocopies.
74.
But yeah, if we're doing a period movie where we're going to need cars of that era, then they've got to have the correct tax discs. Right, these are all the very, very old ones.
Oh, yes.
1944, that one's from.
Speaking of wartime, now I noticed in here somewhere in the number plates this little baby. What's that?
Yeah, well, these are ones that we've used for German staff cars, I think, in when we've done wartime period Germany and that sort of era. These were off that car. Then we've got foreign plates from just about every country in the world. A lot of the American ones, because obviously we have to do American cars quite often, we get them supplied from the States. We've got a number of contacts in the US which can get us pretty much any state number plate and any era number plate that we want. And even things like this, which is supposed to look like a Japanese number plate, but in actual fact is just what we thought a Japanese number plate would look like in the future.
Any organisation that supplies props to the movie industry has to be adaptable when it comes to being on set, especially when cars and stunts are involved. Action Cars is truly all of this, and it's thanks to companies like them that the cars on screen do exactly what they should when they're supposed to.
Craig Austin and Laurie Jordan bring you up to date with the latest from the movie world. Film Extra, next.
World-class German engineering. Braun 360 Complete, the world's first electric shaver with a unique power comb to capture flat-lying